What's going on, everyone? So we got a report that says that the Lakers may now prefer depth over chasing another star, which begs the question of like, okay, well, what's changed, right? Like, I mean, we're still not even in the offseason. Like, guys, like if Donovan Mitchell had like signed an extension and, DeMar DeRozan and, it basically was just like Trae Young or depth, then maybe the Lakers might look at it and go, okay, like let's go the depth route over the star route. I don't buy that, right? Now, look, I've talked about and made the argument for the depth route over the star route, just like I've made the argument for the star route over the depth route. I lean towards the star, depending on who the star is, because I just think the Lakers, the only way you're going to be able to get the depth is via trade, right? So you're going to have to trade guys to upgrade to go get that depth. Okay, because the Lakers are just very limited as far as like money goes to sign free agents. So you're looking at trades one way or the other. Now, if there is some like blue chip top tier guy that you could potentially get, they also don't look at like DeJounte Murray as a star, right? Like that's why they don't want to trade Austin Reeves for him. So maybe it's something where they get like a DeJounte Murray and then some other players like just Alex Caruso or something like that, just example, right? Like let's say they're like, okay, let's go do something like that. Let's go get DeJounte and let's go get this guy. And that would cost us the same as like going and getting a Trae or going and getting a Donovan Mitchell. I could maybe see something like that. I've also, again, talked about how like kind of the if you build it, they will come, where it's like, okay, you have LeBron, you have AD. You could go and kind of get again, we'll stick with the same two guys that I use, right? Say DeJounte Murray, Alex Caruso, and then say you go and you kind of promote Max Christie, you promote these guys, right? And you kind of shape this roster, and 2-3 years from now, it's like you got, let's say Max Christie's taking strides and he's like, a legit two-way, say he's even like a KCP level, not even like a star, just like an excellent role player on the two-way, right? So let's say you got DeJounte Murray, Max Christie, who's, your KCP model, Jared Vanderbilt, let's say he's developed some level of a three-point shot, some level of consistency. You still have Alex Caruso on the bench, even though he's getting older at this point. Got Anthony Davis that you could slide over. Now, maybe somebody looks at it and goes, man, like, you get another star that's like, God, like, that would be, you got DeJounte, you got Max, you got Vando, you got Anthony Davis, right? You still got, like, guys like Alex Caruso on the bench, maybe still have, like, Gabe Vincent at that point, right? It's like, okay, like, I could go there and immediately we contend for a championship. Like, swap me with LeBron, boom, we're winning chips, right? And that could be some incentive to get another star, and you kind of trust the Laker brand, but also when you have the cap space to do that, at that point, I mean, we'll see, what the cap situation looks like, 3 years from now or whatever, however long LeBron signs the extension for. So, the Lakers might not even be in a position for that. So that's why there's a couple reasons why I lean towards the star route. Now, I don't think you should just get a star to get a star, right? But there is the argument of one in the hand is worth two in the bush, right? So, like, if you can get Trae, and the market is very thin for Trae, and you can get him for a reasonable price. He's 25 years old, he comes in. I do have my concerns with Trae. Don't get me wrong, I've talked about it heavily. And particularly the fit with LeBron, where, if we didn't have LeBron, right? Like if LeBron left this offseason, which again, I don't believe he's doing. But if LeBron left this offseason and you could really go get Trae, go get Trae. Because Trae and Anthony Davis as a duo would be a very dynamic pairing. Right? And I don't necessarily think Trae's a number one guy, but I think he can kind of uplift and help Anthony Davis be that number one guy by just getting him and feeding him the basketball. And then Trae as like your super two guy, like there you go. Right? And there is kind of an argument that if LeBron and Trae do work, well, good luck. Right? Because I mean, look at like what Luka and Kyrie are doing now. However you feel about Kyrie and Trae is an excellent player. Like a lot of people act like Trae is a total bum. Like he's not. Like the guy is leading the league in assists every season. Guy's a 27 and 12 guy. Like that's valid. Like he's very good. And you're gonna get more consistency from another star as opposed to depth, right? Like Trae on a bad night, is a lock to give you 15 plus, right? Where role guys on a bad night, they might not even give you anything. They might lay a goose egg or get you like 5 points. So there is that ceiling raiser. And then the obvious one is that like post LeBron, you'd have like a Trae and a LeBron to kind of go forward. Again, I have other guys. Like if you can get Donovan Mitchell is your number one priority. I just think that that's going to be a little tougher. Trae just seems to be the guy that there's the most smoke for. I think he's the most obtainable for the Lakers. I just think the market's going to be very thin, not because he's not a good player, but because, again, he's a point guard that can be ball dominant, and how many teams need that? How many teams? There's only like a couple, like 3 or 4 teams that actually need a point guard, and, like San Antonio, I don't think that they would want Trae. Like, there were rumors early on that maybe they'd be interested, but then they kind of came out and were like, nah, he's not like a Spurs guy, so I just don't see him going there. So, like, I definitely think that there are arguments leaning towards that. And then the big question is the depth, right? Like, okay, well, what about depth? I mean, like, look at, like, Dallas. Dallas is only running, like, 6-7 guys. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. is, like, completely out of the rotation now. And he was, like, their second best player last year, right? So it's like, they're only running a few guys here. We'll see what happens now that they have Kleber back. But you look at them, even Minnesota's only running like 6-7 guys. Boston's like barely 5 or barely 6. I mean, right? Like they have like Pritchard and stuff like that, but they're not like giving you this like huge production. You look at all these teams that made it to the conference finals, and throughout this, it's like they have their main 5 guys that are just killing it. And then they have like that 1 or 2 guy off the bench that's coming in, and just a lot of ways are just skill guys, right? So to me, if you get Trae, again, I'm mostly using Trae as an example just because I think Trae is the most likely scenario. But like if you get Trae, you have LeBron, you have AD. Like there's your 3 main core guys. Trae takes a ton of pressure off LeBron. I think LeBron's the one that's going to have to make the sacrifice. Will he? I don't know. Right? He hasn't really done it yet. He's done it more, and especially this last year, but he still has not been what he's even said he wants to do, which is kind of be more primarily off ball. So is he willing to continue to make the sacrifices? Possibly, because he wants to preserve himself for the playoffs. The Lakers definitely could use Trae scoring, playmaking, and then also closing. I think he would make a ton of help for Anthony Davis, right? He's going to make things so much easier for Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis would be the best player Trae's ever played with. So I look at that and I go, okay, now you have your 3 main guys. Okay, what else do you have? Well, right off the bat, not counting any free agency signings or any other little minor moves that you make, you'd have Max Christie, you'd have Christian Wood, you'd have probably Cam Reddish. He probably re-signs. So you have Cam Reddish. Taurean Prince looks like he's going to re-sign. I mean, he was talking about how he wants to stay with the Lakers. So you probably got Taurean Prince, Jared Vanderbilt. So like your starting 5 could be like Trae. We'll see if Max Christie can kind of take those strides. If he can take those strides and be a legit 2-way guy this season, then you could maybe go Max Christie, Jared Vanderbilt. So now you got that defense, that athleticism, that point of attack there to kind of help mask Trae Young. If anybody can kind of help Trae or mask Trae, it's Anthony Davis. And then you have like Trae and LeBron who, are a little rough on the defense side. But I just think like if Max can kind of be that like, again, KCP type player for us this season, then I think you have that resolved there. Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and then that's not counting like Maxwell Lewis and stuff. So I think the Lakers would be fine depth route. You go get, can you get an Andre Drummond or a Valanciunas, something like that. Right now you got that center. So you basically have your 1, 2, and 3. Spencer Dinwiddie might stick around, right? So you could have, let's say Trae. If Spencer Dinwiddie sticks around, I wouldn't hate Spence, right? Just to kind of have like the size and athleticism, but more veteranness, and another guy that can kind of be an extension and playmaker. Problem is that like I think then he kind of falls into the role that he fell in last year, which bothered me. So I think maybe I'd like him more off the bench. So let's keep him off. Let's keep him off the bench as a guy. So let's move Max Christie. So you go like Trae, Christie, Vando, LeBron, and AD as your starting 5. You have more than enough offense between Trae, LeBron, and Anthony Davis, right? Whatever Max Christie gives you is just icing on the cake. Whatever Vando gives you is just icing on the cake. And then you'd have a bench of like, say, Spencer Dinwiddie, Max Christie. You could have Taurean Prince or Cam Reddish or whoever, probably Taurean Prince. You could have Christian Wood at the 4, and then let's say you get Andre Drummond as a 5. You're legit 10 deep, right? And like a solid 10 deep, right? So to me, it's like you're in good shape, right? I don't think I don't think you'd be lacking depth. I don't think, again, the question would just be the fit. Like, would Trae fit alongside LeBron? That's the big problem. Can they work it out? Can they figure it out? If they can figure it out and they can work it out, then good luck, right? Because that would solve a lot. And also health would obviously be a big thing with LeBron, Anthony Davis. I know a lot of people are like, well, Trae, but like Trae just suffered his first major injury and it was like a finger issue. Like it wasn't anything like significant, right? So I'm not really like too concerned about that yet, but I don't know, time will tell. But now again, I think there's a genuine argument both ways. Depending on what the depth route is, I wouldn't hate it, right? Like I said, let's say they went and traded for DeJounte Murray and Alex Caruso, signed Valanciunas, and whatever, added like Royce O'Neal or something, or they worked out some trade for another guy, right? Maybe you work out some deal to ship out D'Lo, right? Maybe D'Lo opts in and you ship him out. Like, I wouldn't hate something like that, right? Like, to where it's like, okay, you basically upgraded, like you got that third guy in DeJounte, and then you got, a legit two-way point of attack guy, and 3-and-D guy, and Alex Caruso. Jared Vanderbilt could step up. You got LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Cool. You got nice balance there, right? I like that. You got good bench depth. Right? Like, I don't hate that route, and I think that that's very possible. But I also have a concern of just relying on LeBron too much. Right? Because we saw him get gassed. We saw him get tired throughout the course of the regular season and in the playoffs. So that's kind of why, but maybe DeJounte can kind of offset that. I don't know. It's definitely, again, to me, it boils down to like, what is the end result? Right? Like if they go and they trade for like, a Trae, like I said, I'll be pumped, but what else? Like, how else are you shaping this out? Right? Like, because, Trae, like, there's an argument to be made. Like, what if you had Trae instead of D'Lo in that Denver series? Right? Even with Trae, who wasn't great in these playoffs because he just came back from surgery, but he was still better than D'Lo. Right? So, like, is that the difference in that Denver series? I mean, even if you don't win the series, you probably win more games. Right? So it's just, I don't know. I in my head, I can make the argument both ways. But I just kind of lean towards, like, get the star because it's the greatest ceiling raiser. Not only is it the greatest ceiling raiser, but it also gives you the most potential long term, right? So that way it's easier to kind of get skill guys around your stars than it is to go get that other star, right? So to me, it's like if you already have your two stars locked in, go that route. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? You're somewhere in between. However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.